everybody. How are you? This is Mr. Morrow talking to you a little bit about Module 67, Mood Disorders. The magic thing to think about when you see the definition there is 2 or more weeks. That's a very important thing to note, where clinicians who diagnose schizophrenia will ask you, how long have you been feeling this way? 2 or more weeks is really the key time frame. You see some bullet points pop up there. It affects eating habits, sleeping habits, obviously mood disorders, or mood and emotions, and also that last bullet point, thoughts of death and suicide. This has been called the common cold of mental illnesses. Depression is very, very common. High percentages of people, 10 to 15% of people in America experience some level of depression at some point in their life. You, as young people, are about to go through a very big transition of going off to college, and that is a big transition that's not to be taken lightly, because you go away from everything that you are familiar with, everything from your physical space of your home and your school, your friends, your families, and you jump into this new world. So again, down the road, if you are feeling depressed, seek out help, because high percentages of cases are treatable with pharmaceutical drugs and counseling. So colleges are way more aware of that now than they were in the past, and that is definitely a good thing. Bipolar disorder is something a little bit different under mood disorders. Bipolar disorder has also been called manic depressive disorder. Very high highs, very low lows. Sometimes the highs go on for days and weeks, and then the inevitable crash. Creativity in bipolar disorder is something to note. Very, very famous people in the arts, there's a high correlation with bipolar disorder. Again, though, that manic period is just an incredibly high period. That's an also interesting paragraph that popped up there. A lot of diagnoses, maybe overdiagnoses, has happened with bipolar disorder in the last 10, 20, 25 years, specifically in boys. And this was really a boon to drug companies that sold a lot of drugs and they made money on it. So that is an ethical conundrum. The DSM-5 recently re-diagnosed, and relabeled some of these disorders as disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. But note clearly there is a difference between bipolar disorder and depressive and major depressive disorder. This next slide gets into gender. How does gender affect rates of depression? Who do you think gets more depressed, women or men? Well, it's an interesting notion. Females generally report more depression. Is that because females are better at voicing their concerns and seeking help? There's an old saying that women get sad and men get mad. So how does each gender channel that feeling of depression is interesting. Women get sad, men get mad. And then remember our discussion about post-traumatic growth. Somebody like J.K. Rowling is an interesting example. She was, I think, near homelessness before she hit the big time with her Harry Potter books. And again, she saw it as an opportunity to grow and to become better. So again, how do people channel that emotion is really, really important. Check out these next couple slides here. This is really, really cool about how the numbers tell. Yes, this age group, your age group, there's a slight rise here. Note this ends in 2011. The next slide is a little bit more recent. One thing you'll be doing is watching a video on these two middle lines, 55 to 64 and 45 to 54, my age group. Look at the suicide rate per 100,000 people in those age groups. In older people here, it's generally going down. Your age group, there is a slight uptick. More recently, a much, much more larger uptick. But in these age groups, you'll see an interesting 8-9 minute video on these things called deaths of despair. Very, very interesting notion. Equally so, male and female. Males commit suicide at a much, much higher rate than females do. This last slide, look at this. Again, much more recently in 2016 here, there is a very worrying trend upwards for young people committing suicide. This is age 15 to 19. You'll have a chance to look at an article and listen to a podcast. There's something called suicide clusters that are really, really interesting with young people. One thing to note also too real quick is this gap in the middle between, let's say, the mid-80s and the mid-90s. This is the war on drugs and the crack epidemic, the homicide and the firearm-related deaths. Very, very sharp uptick there. Guys and girls, enjoy some of these supplementary materials today. Look forward to talking to you soon, and we will chat very, very soon. Have a great day.